has received President Bola Tinubu's communication seeking consideration and passage of the proposed fiscal policy and tax reform bill to align with ongoing financial reforms of the federal government and enhance efficiency in tax compliance. In a letter read by the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, he said the bill would provide a clearer and more concise framework for the efficient administration of all tax laws. Correspondent Kulujo reports that President Tinubu also transmitted the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill, which seeks to repeal the Federal Inland Revenue Service Bill, number 13 of 2007, and establish the Nigeria Revenue Service to access, collect and account for revenue accrued to the Federation.
Collect and account for revenue accruable to the government of the Federation. The Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill establishes the Joint Revenue Board, the Tax Appeal Tribunal, and the Office of the Tax Ombudsman for the harmonization and coordination and settlement of disputes arising from revenue administration in Nigeria. The proposed tax bills present substantial benefits to align with my government's objectives and fiscal reform and economic growth.
President Tinubu said the proposed tax bill presents substantial benefit to align with his government's objectives, fiscal reforms, economic growth by enhancing taxpayers' compliance, strengthening fiscal institutions, and fostering a more effective and transparent fiscal regime. The President also said he is confident that the bill, when passed, will encourage investment, boost consumer spending, and stimulate Nigeria's economy.
President and distinguished senators, the assurances of my highest consideration and regards. Yours sincerely, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Senate on Thursday reopened debate on a bill to establish the South-South Development Commission, which was suspended on July. The bill scaled through second reading during the plenary session. Correspondent Kulujo completes the story.
In a fresh twist, the expression of what is good for the goose is good for the gander prevailed as the South-South lawmakers made a case for reconsideration of the South-South Development Commission bill. At today's sitting, majority of the lawmakers embraced the merits of the commission, asserting that it will be development-based, not resource-based like NDDC.
The South-South requires a commission that is exclusively dedicated to a region that understands our unique issues and can craft tailored solutions for them, just like the other 5 geopolitical regions. Another distinction lies in the way funds are allocated. The Niger Delta Development Commission allocates resources to member states based on the quantum of oil production in each state.
We are now creating not resource-based centers of development and entities, but development-based entities according to geopolitical zones.
I urge my colleagues, because of the nature of South-South, if you go to South-South, you cry. If you go to the part of South-South where this oil is being drilled, these people have no water to drink.
As in support of South-South to have it is on. Even though they have a Niger Delta Development Commission, which is not only serving Niger Delta alone, it serves some part of southeast and southwest, like Ondo and Abia and Imo.
The Deputy Senate President Barau Jibrin and a lawmaker from Kogi State, while speaking to the bill, suggested that other oil-producing states could be included in the NDDC, saying the NDDC name could be changed to accommodate more oil states.
Since we have created commissions for other zones, like my zone has gotten one, there's nothing wrong, and I support the idea that the commission to take care of the South-South in terms of helping to further develop the zone should be created.
South people, they walk on the altar and they must be fed from the altar. Yes, Niger Delta Development Commission, Kogi State is an oil-producing state.
However, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, put the bill to our voice vote and many senators vote in its favor.
A bill for an act to establish the South-South Development Commission charged with the responsibility to receive and manage funds from the Federation account allocation and other sources, donations, grants, aids for the integration, development, resolution of infrastructural deficit, militancy, communal crisis, as well as tackle ecological environmental problems, and for related matters 2024. Second reading taken.
The bill has been referred to the Committee on Special Duties to report back within 1 week. The Senate also passed for the second reading a bill to an act to establish Police Service Commission Training Institute that will serve as a center for the administration and management of the institute and determine the standard of knowledge and skills to be acquired by the personnel of the Police Service Commission on its oversight function over the Nigerian police. The bill was sponsored by the senator representing Jigawa East Senatorial District from the Red Chamber of the National Assembly, Kunle Ojo, Galaxy TV.
Rejection of the National Honor Commander of the Federal Republic, CFR, by members of the 10th House of Representatives during plenary has been described as misplaced priority, considering the mirage of socio-economic issues bedeviling the country. Presently to Nigerians, the unholy rivalry that the members of the House of Representatives are breeding up is uncalled for and may not be good for the nation's democracy. Galaxy News correspondent Levy Joseph has more in this report.
The protest against President Bola Tinubu's decision to confer a lower national honor, Commander of Federal Republic, on Speaker Tajuddin Abbas, claiming its inappropriate discrimination against the House of Representatives and the presentation of the chamber as inferior to the state, has been condemned in different quarters across the country.
Okay, so now that we are struggling to get out of insecurity in the land, now that we are struggling to see how things can be better for Nigerians, you are talking of national honors. Granted that the president in his wisdom decides to give national honors, he has to weigh the caliber of people who is giving the national honors to. That is always a tradition.
Come out, they come out at the national level and voice out, bring something that at least the floor of the National Assembly. How many of them have come out and bring a suggestion that can be of a benefit to the common Nigerians?
Deputy Chairman, House Committee on Media and Public Affairs sponsored the motion, claimed that the National Honors Act of 1964 does not prescribe the conferment of specific honors for certain individuals, is far from what the people of the country are going through presently.
The Senate is the upper chamber of the National Assembly. The House of Representatives is the lower chambers. They are not on the same pedestal. So the Senate, the House of Representatives cannot seek to equate itself with the Senate. The Senate is seen as the upper arm. Granted that in the process of making law, the two arms will have to collaborate, the law will have to pass through the two arms or chambers before it can become law.
Fundamentals of the National Assembly, which is representation of the people, should be the concern of the lawmakers and not this frivolous, egocentric aggrandizement. From Lagos, this is Levy Joseph reporting for Galaxy TV News. Nurses
at the Ogun State Hospital Ijaya Abeokuta Thursday protested the alleged assault of a final year student nurse by a consultant orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Adekunle Nuruddin, at a peaceful demonstration held within the premises of the hospital. The leadership of the nurse's body demands justice. Correspondent John Felix completes the story.
Don't get it twisted. These are nurses who defied the rain, chanting various solidarity songs in support of one of theirs within the hospital premises. These nurses alleged that on September 24th, Dr. Nuruddin, a staff with the hospital, reportedly slapped the student nurse at the theatre, and despite attempts to seek reparation from the government, no positive outcome was gotten. The protesting nurses, led by the state chairman of National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, Comrade Adejoke Bello, said the demonstration is to register their grievances and displeasure over the unethical practice of the consultant orthopedic surgeon.
And we have written since Monday, given the authority 48 hours to address the issue on ground, it is injustice to nurses. And we will never condone that. It is our final year students today, tomorrow it might be me. That is why we are frowning against it. We want justice. And the PSR frown against bullying at work. This is physical assault, which is punishable under the law.
A misconduct.
Which is punishable under the PSR. That is public service rule. We have rule that is guiding us as civil servants in the country. So government cannot just say you are coming down to bully nurses. Enough of bullying. And Mr. CMD, sir, we are given this institution just 4 hours. Doctors alone cannot function when the nurses are not. We are pleading on behalf of entire nurses of Ogun State, basically State Hospital Ijaye, federal institutions in Ogun State, the local government nurses in Ogun State. We are demanding for justice. Justice must be done. Because our motto says, injury to one.
Addressing the protesters, the medical director, State Hospital Ijaye, said the government is aware of the situation and already taking steps to address the incident.
This is dated 30th, Monday. Tuesday was a public holiday. Yesterday I got this. And the commissioner is aware, the two permanent secretaries are aware. So that is to tell you that the management is already looking into it officially. And we've decided, based on this letter, and the board is aware. That is the much I can say, but I want to appreciate you for doing this. It is not management's duty to sweep this under the carpet. Certainly not, because we will be called to give an account of what has been done to this letter. This letter, I got this letter yesterday when I came back from budget.
With bated breath, nurses will be on the lookout for the next line of action from government. From Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, John Felix reporting for Galaxy Television News.
You're still on to Galaxy Primetime News, and coming up next. A federal high court in Abuja prohibits the Vehicle Inspection Office VIO from stopping vehicles on the road, impounding or confiscating them and imposing fines on motorists. Details of these and more will come to you shortly. Do stay with us. We're glad to have you back. Now, for more updates and latest news, please visit our website www.galaxytvonline.com. Connect with us on our X handle at Galaxy TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/GalaxyTVNews. You can follow and interact with us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/GalaxyTV. Remember to follow and tag us on our Instagram page at Galaxy TV. You can also, our social media platforms are user-friendly and can always accommodate a live update and comment, as you can easily scan our IG QR code. The Honorable Minister for Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, has emphasized the critical role that public-private partnerships play in advancing skills development for Africa's youth. Addressing industry leaders and government officials at the 3rd German African Forum on Vocational Training and Education in Berlin, the minister said this remains a crucial step towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals (SDG) by 2030. He highlighted Nigeria's DOT policy as a major step towards educational reform in the country, adding that the policy is a comprehensive framework aimed at transforming Nigeria's educational system. According to him, it prioritizes data-driven decision-making, enabling the government to design and implement effective, evidence-based educational policies. Professor Mamman added that the policy focuses on addressing the educational needs of out-of-school children, ensuring that they receive the necessary training for future opportunities. The policy, according to him, also places significant emphasis on teachers' development and support, with the goal of empowering educators to act as agents of change in their communities. The federal government has introduced new scholarship programs aimed at enhancing the quality of teacher training in Nigeria. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, said the initiative was introduced to equip teachers with necessary skills to perform their duties at the highest professional standards. Correspondent Kulujo completes the story.
Speaking at the media briefing in celebration of this year's World Teachers' Day, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, highlighted government's commitment to improve teachers' welfare and development. Presented by the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Sonny Guazo, the Minister emphasized the importance of teachers, noting that they are the backbone of all educational reforms and policies. He said the key areas being addressed include enhanced teachers' training, strengthening foundational learning skills, improving performance monitoring and evaluation, fostering partnership and coordination, as well as creating community learning hubs.
The government, through the Teachers Registration Council of Nigeria, enters bilateral agreements on teacher mobility for ease of international engagement. Teachers' welfare remains a priority for employers of labor, despite the economic and insecurity challenges in Nigeria.
While restating the commitment of the present administration to creating conducive atmosphere for teachers to operate, the minister solicited the support of all stakeholders in this regard, adding that despite operating in harsh environment, teachers in Nigeria have distinguished themselves. On his part, the president of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Andrew Amba, commended the federal government and the ministry for giving priority attention to the plight of teachers in Nigeria. He declared the support of NUT to the policies of the present administration towards returning the lost glory in the education sector.
There is renewed effort in professionalizing teaching, and that's why not only are we having colleges of education which have already been given approval to do what we call the dual mandate, to teach NCE, to teach degrees, but we have also rolled out a new number of universities to deliver degrees in education. There are specialized universities of education that are coming out, springing up in the country. So this is all part of the effort.
Policies of government that will impact positively to the system and even the teaching profession. For us, as leaders of Nigerian teachers, we are committed to supporting the federal government Federal Ministry of Education to make sure that the welfare of teachers, the education system of this country is well taken care of.
This year World Teachers Day has the theme Valuing Teachers' Voices Towards a New Social Contract for Education. From Abuja, Kule Ojo, Galaxy TV.
Apostle Dr. Emmanuel Kure has advocated for the reorientation of Nigerian universities for the country's positive growth in the right direction. Dr. Emmanuel Kure made this known while delivering a lecture at the Kaduna State University, where he emphasized that doing so would expose students to the importance of helping and making an impact in the communities they reside in after leaving school. Kure, however, challenged the management of Kaduna State University to clearly define its philosophy and what it hoped to achieve, and to deliberately instill the philosophy in the student if the university wants to survive in the long run. He lamented over the current poor state of the nation and how Nigerians are suffering, adding that the government must be deliberate in correcting the selfish and faulty foundation upon which the country was established.
We have to face the realities of our present in Nigeria. We must all, every one of us, become innovative and find new practical ways of solving our problems. We must not leave it to leadership alone, as they do not have the monopoly of knowledge, but must individually and collectively, with or without leadership, create new positive ways of solving the myriad challenges facing us on every front of life.
The title of this lecture, Frontiers to Repair University Education in Nigeria, would be treated justifiably.
The government will need to stand back and please hear the cry of the people. Things are terribly bad, and the response of the government so far, I must be sincere with you, has not been encouraging. It's not enough to bring peace to us. Nobody seems to be responding to the problems, to the cries of the people. There is only the reassurance from the president, things will get better, things will get better. That is not what we want to hear.
The National Association of Nigerian Students rejected the National Examination Council 50,000 naira fee for the printing of certificate. It is reported that the new policy was announced in a statement by NECO on September 30, 2024 by the Registrar of NECO in Mina, Niger State, Dantani Wushishi. According to the statement, the 50,000 naira fee for certificate reprint is subjected to periodic review, and the reprint request will only be approved within 1 year of the original certificate issuance. Reacting to the new fee, NAN's clerk of the Senate, Abdul Yakini, in a statement described the decision as outrageous and a commercialization of education. He explained that the fee is an unacceptable burden on students, coming at a time when many are struggling to make ends meet. He stressed that economic hardship is taking a toll on Nigerian students, adding that the new policy by NECO gives room to doubt its commitment to education. Former Governor of Taraba State, Darius Ishaku, on Thursday was admitted to bail in the sum of 150 million naira by a high court of the Federal Capital Territory FCT in the alleged 27 billion naira fraud brought against him by the federal government. The former governor was granted the bail by Justice Sylvanus Orji with two sureties in the same amount. However, one of the two sureties must be a federal government employee and must be a director. Similarly, the two sureties must be residents in the FCT with their house addresses to be verified by the registrar of the court. Besides, Justice Orji barred the former governor and his co-defendant Bello Yero from traveling out of the country except with the permission of the court. The Economic and Financial Crimes Court, AFCC, through its counsel, Rotimi Jacob San, did not oppose the bail request of the former governor. His grounds was that EFCC on its own granted him administrative bail and he did not jump the bail. Meanwhile, the former acting governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Shonubi, has told Justice Mariam Anene of the Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja that intrigues and politics were involved in the Naira redesign carried out in 2022. Shonubi, who was the deputy governor of operations before he was appointed acting CBN governor, but is now retired, in his response to the question of defense counsel Olaleko Ojan, the continuation of hearing in the trial of the former CBN governor Godwin Emefiele, told the court that the former Apex Bank chief told him and others that there were intrigues and politics in the Naira redesign. Emefiele, before Justice Anene's court, is facing a 4-count charge bordering on disobedience to the direction of law and illegal acts causing injury to the public about the Naira redesign brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Shonubi, led in evidence by prosecuting counsel Rotimi Oyedeposan, said the currency redesign of 2022 was the only one that he was part of, adding that when he had meeting with the defendants, which is Emefiele, he said there were politics and intrigues around the whole exercise. A High Court of the Federal Capital Territory FCT in Maitama has summoned former Kogi State Governor Alhaji Yahaya Bello to appear before it on October 24th to face a fresh 16-count charge brought against him by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC). The EFCC has charged Bello alongside 2 others, Umar Uricha and Abdusalami Hudu, with criminal breach of trust involving 110.4 billion naira. The defendants were initially scheduled to take their plea on Thursday. However, when the case was called, the EFCC informed the court that all efforts to serve the charge filed on September 24th to the former governor has been unsuccessful. In response, Justice Mariam Anene issued a public summons compelling Bello to voluntarily appear before the court on the adjourned date for his arraignment. The court also directed the EFCC to publish the summons in a widely circulating national newspaper and to post copies at Bello's last known address and in prominent locations within the court premises. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Abuja has issued a significant ruling that prohibits the Directorate of Road Traffic Services, commonly known as the Vehicle Inspection Office (VIO), from stopping vehicles on the road, impounding or confiscating them, and imposing fines on motorists. The judgments delivered by Justice Evelyn Maha stems from a fundamental rights enforcement suit filed by human rights activist and public interest attorney Abubakar Marshall. In her ruling, Justice Maha affirmed Marshall's assertion that there is no legal basis for the VIO and its officials to stop, impound or confiscate vehicles or to levy fines against motorists. The order also extends to the Director of Road Transport, the Area Commander in Jabi and the team in Jabi, with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT) listed as a respondent. Justice Maha stated that the actions of the first to the fourth respondent under the control of the fifth respondent are not empowered by any law or statute to stop, impound or confiscate the vehicles of motorists or impose fines on them. A Lagos State High Court in Ikeja has sentenced an Okada rider, Monday Olukunle, known as Seaman, to 7 years imprisonment for his involvement in gang raping a 16-year-old at an uncompleted building. Justice Uyidamola Ogala, in his verdict, found the defendant guilty of counts 1 and 2, which borders on conspiracy and abduction, while charging him of count 3, which deals with defilement. According to the 3-count charges performed against the convict, the police alleged that Monday Olukunle, also known as Seaman, and another who is now at large, on September 30th, 2022 at Ikotun area in the Ikeja Judicial Division conspired to abduct the survivor to an uncompleted building to gang rape her. Justice Ogala noted that the prosecutor was unable to prove beyond reasonable doubt the offense of defilement, having not presented key witnesses to testify in the course of the trial. The judge ordered the convict term shall commence from the date of remand, which is the 30th day of September 2022, and shall be concurrent. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, Kaduna State Command, said its operatives have seized over 1,000 kilograms of various illicit substances and arrested 420 suspects in the third quarter of the year. Its commander, Sumaila Danmalam, closed this on Thursday in Kaduna. Danmalam said the command had, within the period under review, arrested a total of 420 suspects comprising 404 males and 16 females. The commander also disclosed that the command has made seizures of various illicit substances. He said illicit substances included cocaine, cannabis sativa, rohypnol, tramadol, methamphetamine, and other psychotropic substances, grossly weighing over 1,000 kilograms. The command seized a total of 1,393 rounds of 7.62 mm ammunition and equally seized 4 locally made arms in the course of numerous operations, in the period being reported. The police in Delta says it has arrested 2 female suspects for child stealing at a firm in Uve local government area of the state. In a statement by its spokesperson Adafi Bright made available to newsmen, he said that suspects Tessie Ikechukwu and Loretta Ekonem were arrested when a commercial tricycle operator diverted his tricycle carrying the women and baby to the Ekpan police station. According to him, the baby was bought at a traditional home in Port Harcourt for the sum of 2 million naira. The commercial tricycle operator was said to have heard the women conversation on the balance payment for the baby, which made him act quickly by diverting the tricycle to the police station for interrogation. The confessional statement of the suspect shows that they bought the baby for 2 million naira from the Port Harcourt home and were taking the baby home before they were arrested. Delta Police Commissioner CP Olufemi Abaniwanda, while thanking the commercial tricycle rider for being a patriotic citizen, urged all the members of the public to emulate him. Ahead of the local government polls in Jigawa, the state has imposed restrictions on all forms of vehicular movement from 12 a.m. on Friday, October 4th, 2024 to 6 p.m. on Saturday, October 5th, 2024, except those on essential services or duties. This is contained in a statement by the command's public relations officer, DSP Lawan Shisu Adam, a copy of which was made available to newsmen on Thursday. According to the statement, only vehicles on essential duties or services such as the commission officials, election observers, ambulances for medical emergencies and firefighters, among others, are exempted from the restriction imposed on vehicular movement. He reminded political parties and their supporters in the state that the ban on political thuggery and use of weapons during elections is still in force, as anyone caught will be arrested and persecuted. The political parties and their followers intending to use weapons and any kind of its kind were advised to refrain from such and adhere to and abide by the rules and regulations governing the electoral. Members of the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State and some stakeholders in the state have staged a peaceful protest at the state DSS and the police headquarters in the state. The protesters were seen gathered at the People's Democratic Party Secretariat along Abba Road in Port Harcourt before proceeding to DSS. The protesters were seen carrying a plaque with inscriptions kicking against the October 5th local government elections coming up on Saturday. Some stakeholders, which includes former local government chairman loyal to the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, members of the Federal House of Representatives, among others, Speaking at the DSS office, State Chairman of PDP in Rivers State, Aaron Chukwuemeka, said the major reason for the protest is to say no to the October 5th local government elections.
I have a petition to, and attached in that petition is the court order. We are members of People's Democratic Party, heavily led by my humble self, the chairman of our party, Honorable Chukwuemeka Aaron. We are abiding citizens and people that believe in rule of law. There was a court judgment on the 30th of September restraining the ISEC not to conduct the election. Reason being that they never complied with the laws of that election, and then restraining the security agency, restraining INEC not to give them voters register.
Aaron Chukwuemeka, who also spoke at the state police headquarters, said the police obey the court order. He said they are not going to participate because there is a court judgment restraining the commission from conducting the elections. The protesters, in their thousands after the movement, dispatched to their various destinations.
We believe in equity. We believe in rule of law. We are law-abiding citizens. We have told the police that we must obey court judgment. We are not in Banana Republic where every time people disobey court orders. This is a judgment. So I want to beg all of you, let no person quarrel, let no person fight.
Ahead of the October 5th local government elections in Benue State, Governor Hyacinthe Alia declared Friday, October 4th, a work-free day. Alia declared in a statement by his Chief Press Secretary, Teso Kula, and made it known in Makurdi on Thursday. The governor said that the work-free day was to allow the electorate to travel to their respective local government areas to exercise their franchise, emphasized the importance of active participation in the electoral process, and encouraged all citizens to take advantage of the work-free day to exercise their civic duty. Alia expressed confidence that with the right community and participation, the elections will be conducted smoothly and fairly. The governor further urged all public and private sector organizations to support the initiative by allowing their employees to do likewise. He charged the citizens to prioritize peaceful conduct and collaboration during the elections, enforcing the need for unity and cooperation among all parties involved. You're still on to Galaxy Primetime News. We'll quickly take a break, and when we return, the news continues. Just stay with us. We're glad to have you back now to carry the rest of the stories. Government at all levels have been called upon to ensure that its policies meet the yearnings and aspirations of the people. These were the words of the Chairman Board of Trustees, Citizens' Rights Concern Enhancement Initiative, Ambassador Edewo Ededibe, during a one-day stakeholders dialogue held in Efurun, Delta State, with the theme Delayed Justice in Nigeria Judiciary System. Our correspondent, Dele Fasan, has more.
Gathered at the Dialogue Auditorium were leaders of human rights stakeholders across the country with a view to finding a lasting solution to the problem of delayed justice delivery in Nigeria. In their opening remarks, the BOT chairman and national coordinator stressed to hold government at all levels accountable as the keynote speaker harps on the decay in our courts.
Our organization will continue to call out the federal government, state government, and local governments. There are several policies if they are not in tandem with the people who elected them. When they at all levels is formulating policies, they should do so with the interest of the citizens at heart. Section 14 amendment.
We shall continue to make our daring efforts to enrich the public space with activities and programs towards advancing our democracy and good.
What have we achieved since 1940? The North and many other places. What the colonial masters left for us, we have not added any plus. Even some of the courts we are using were the courts used by the colonial masters.
The National Secretary of a rights group in Nigeria, as well as a panelist from the Delta Ministry of Justice, while speaking with journalists, called for judicial autonomy.
And we've had resource persons have spoken on different thematic areas as regards how we can get our justice system right and provide the delay in justice. Personally, I think one of the best way for us to get it right as the people in terms of delaying justice is to ensure that the judiciary has our own autonomy. They should be able to function like the executive and the legislature as an autonomous body.
Justice happens in different sectors. We have lack of funding.
Groups promise to always speak with one voice in ensuring government authorities ability of sound policies improve the standing of the people. From Delta State, Dele Fason reporting for Galaxy TV News.
Aftermath of criticism by civil society groups, the Bayelsa State Governor Diri has read the Rad Act to members of his committee over the allegation of misappropriation of 8 billion naira agricultural loan secured by his administration. The governor made the remarks when he met with 7 commissioners and leaders of the state to clear the air on the allegation. Speaking at the Government House Executive Chambers in Yenagua, Governor Diri charged them to find out how the loan were used and report to him.
Agriculture, you are at liberty to find out and report back to me how each has used their loans. We have to use our cabinet as an example. It was not free money, and we will use it to also evaluate what others who have benefited have used their loans for. I don't want that culture of taking loans and using it to go and culture. All the executive members, both those who left, and there are
The governor mandated the Commissioner of Agriculture to come out with his blueprint in tackling hunger in the state.
Hunger protests. I am yet to see your blueprint, and your blueprint should be one of the first that I should see on the organized way of farming, not the one that my mother and my grandmother did. I'm aware that the tractors that were promised is already on the way.
And I'll move over to the foreign desk for more news.
This is news from the international scene. Israel killed at least 9 people in an air raid on central Beirut after losses in fighting with Hezbollah in southern Lebanon's capital occurred overnight, hitting a building in the residential district of Bashura, not far from the parliament. Lebanese health officials said a further 14 people were wounded, with 4 still receiving treatment in hospital. The Hezbollah-linked Islamic Health Authority said in an 7 of its staff members, including 2 medics, were killed in the Beirut buildings and shocked everyone nearby. Meanwhile, missiles southern suburb of the Niger, a densely packed residential area that is also a Hezbollah stronghold and where the group's leader, Hassan Nasrallah, was killed last week. The UK has announced it is giving up sovereignty of a remote but strategically important cluster of islands in the Indian Ocean after more than half a century. The deal, reached after years of negotiation, will see the UK add Chag Island to Mauritius in a historic move. This includes the tropical atoll of Diego Garcia, used by the US government as a military base for its Navy ships and long-range bomber aircraft. The announcement, made in a joint statement by the British and Mauritian Prime Minister on Thursday, ends decades of often fractious negotiation between the two countries over the island. The US-UK base will remain on Diego Garcia, a key factor in at a time of growing geopolitical rivalries in the region between Western countries, India and China. The deal is still subject to finalization of a treaty, but both sides have vowed to complete this as quickly as possible. The Speaker of Georgia's Parliament signed a bill similar to legislation that curbs the right of LGBT people. The warnings from the EU. The move came a day after Georgia's pro-President Zurabishvili, at loggerheads with the ruling Georgian Dream Party, refused to sign the bill. The bill is similar to Moscow's gay propaganda law, which also bans Georgia's and defies same-sex marriages from all Georgian country. The ruling Georgian Dream pushed the bill through Parliament last month, a vote boycotted by the opposition. To October 26th, Vili said the measure is based on science, experiences, old Christian, Georgian and European values rather than unchangeable ideologies. However, right groups in Western countries have said that it is discriminatory and creates a dangerous environment for LGBTQ people. Last month, a transgender was stabbed to death, an attack that came during the law. The bill also comes after Tbilisi's recent adoption of an anti-NGO foreign influence law, which triggered weeks of anti-government protest and Western condemnation. Critics abused the ruling Georgian Dream Party of moving closer into the orbit and jeopardizing Georgia's bid for EU membership. Still on the international scene, a vulnerable woman was raped and killed by a stranger while she was unconscious on a park bench after a night out, a court has said. Natalie Shorter, a stranger, at the opening of the trial at the Old Bailey, jurors were told she was found dead by passerby in Southall Park, West London, on the morning of 17 June 2021. Ido, with 35 and homeless, denies 2 charges of rapes and manslaughter. Opening the case on Wednesday, prosecutor Alison Morgan KC said the prosecution is taken advantage of by the defendant. Morgan told jurors that it had taken time to understand what happened to Shana and what caused her death. The TV footage showed her barely moving and that she appeared to have been unconscious when she was raped, therefore could not have consented. Ms. Morgan said the trial has been adjourned until Friday. 9 people died on Thursday after a fire ripped a hospital in southern Taiwan, the island's fire agency said. Blaze at about 7:40 a.m. according to a report by the fire agency. 8 victims were confirmed dead after being taken away for treatment, and another was later found dead at the scene, the agency said. Crouching 4 schools and offices, strong winds and heavy rains that have left 2 dead and more than 100 injured. Lastly, on the international scene, dozens of tigers died in South Vietnam after a bird flu outbreak, according to state media. 3 lions and a panther were also reported to have died of the virus, alongside 7 tigers since August. H5N1 outbreak east of Vung Chau Zoo near Ho Chi Minh City and My Kin Safari Park in neighboring Longer province. An official reported that the animals had fallen ill after being fed meat from chicken which had been infected. The Vietnamese Ministry of Health said 2 samples taken from their tigers tested positive for bird flu, and officials are tracking the source of the chicken to determine the cause. Advice on the World Health Organization website warns against consuming raw or undercooked meats and eggs from regions experiencing bird flu outbreaks due to the high risk of infection. The H5N1 strain The virus primarily infects animals, and the WHO says almost all cases of human infection arise from close contact with affected live or dead birds or contaminated environment. And that's it from the international scene.
And that's all we have on Galaxy Primetime News. Thank you so much for being a part of the news. My name is Nanwa Gimazaka. Goodbye.
Open are the four universal principles of rule of law. These also are the pillars of our program, democracy and the rule of law on Galaxy TV. Out every Sunday, we bring you trending aspects of law and constitution with and principles. Political ideology, accountability, and compliance of equality. Citizens before the law, democracy and the rule of law. Platform for equity, justice, and fair treatment.
EFC 118 promised